The Middle Eastern culture of Jesus was a rough and tumble world. Modern-day negative political campaigning, sharp political debates are tame in contrast. Luke chapter 20, verses 27 through 38. Some Sadducees, those who deny that there is a resurrection, came forward and put this question to him, saying, "Teacher, Moses wrote for us, if someone's brother dies leaving a wife but no child, his brother must take the wife and raise up descendants for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first married a woman but died childless. Then the second and the third married her, and likewise all the 7 died childless. Finally, the woman also died. Now, at the resurrection, whose wife will that woman be? For all 7 have been married to her." Jesus said to them, "The sons of this age marry and are given in marriage. But those who are deemed worthy to attain to the coming age and to the resurrection of the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage. They can no longer die, for they are like angels, and they are the sons of God, because they are the ones who will rise. That the dead will rise, even Moses made known in the passage about the bush, when he called Lord the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And he is not the God of the dead, but of the living, for to him all are alive." The honor-driven culture of the Middle East is conflict-prone at its core. To gain and augment personal honor, one has to challenge another in the hope that the challenged person will respond with a weak riposte. The term riposte comes from fencing and describes the swift thrust made after parrying an opponent's lunge. Observe Jesus' parry and swift thrust in all his arguments with opponents throughout the Gospels. In this Sunday's Gospel story, the conflict is between a Sadducee and Jesus. It is one of a cluster of arguments in this section of the Gospel we call Luke. Since Jesus gives a basically Pharisaic answer to the Sadducee challenge, this story reflects typical Sadducee and Pharisee conflict. Let's consider the challenge posed to Jesus. Historically, the Sadducees did not believe in the resurrection because they believed only what was revealed in the written Torah. They totally rejected the oral Torah, or traditions held by the Pharisees. Since Sadducees claimed that there was no reference to resurrection in the written Torah, they didn't believe in it. The hypothetical question about the woman with 7 successive husbands is rooted in the law of Moses, Deuteronomy chapter 25. This law seeks to guarantee family continuity. All kinds of disastrous consequences result if a man dies with no heir, or his wife is widowed without a son. Since the ideal marriage partner in the cultural world of the Bible is one's patrilateral first cousin, the brothers of the deceased man, being first cousins for the widow, are the ideal new marriage partners. The entire pattern of thinking is group-centered, family-centered, and this-worldly. So, this is the pickle. Those who believe in the resurrection must explain how the woman in this hypothetical case will manage 7 husbands simultaneously in the age to come. A silly situation on its face. The challenge to Jesus is clear. Hey, Galilean, do you believe in the written Torah? Or do you side with those Pharisees, accept their Persian beliefs about the resurrection based on Persian oral traditions and Persian interpretations, and thereby subject Moses to ridicule? Next follows Jesus' riposte. Remember that Jesus routinely replies to opponents with an insult. Hey, hypocrites! Mask wearers! Or, can't you read? Insult follows insult in what follows. Jesus was a Mediterranean master of the insult. First, Jesus explains the facts of life and reproduction to mature, grown men, immortal beings, beings that have skyvault flesh, beings that have become stars and constellations. Skyvault beings, resurrected beings, don't need to reproduce. Only humans do that to ensure the continuity of humankind. The next insult is double-barreled. Jesus tells the Sadducees that those whom God considers worthy of the age to come and worthy of resurrection are immortal, like the angels or constellations. The Sadducees did not believe in angels or spirits either. They did not give the constellations and stars in the sky vault those Pharisaic interpretations, those Persian interpretations. The shot from the second barrel is that Jesus identifies these immortals as sons of God, a favorite Old Testament name for angels, because they shared in the resurrection, a life-giving act of God. Then Jesus gives the crowning insult. Jesus quotes the Torah against its champions, who are so committed to its literal interpretation. He argues that Moses himself proves the resurrection when he describes the Lord as God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These patriarchs were long deceased by Moses' time. Since only the living can have a God, and God claims to be God of the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, then somehow God sustains the patriarchs in life in the age to come. God must have turned them into skyvault beings. That's what resurrection is. The anonymous author we call Luke concludes Jesus' argument with an allusion to 4 Maccabees, chapter 7, verse 19. This document, called 4 Maccabees, is dated between 18 and 55 Common Era. Luke's phrase, "For to God all of them are alive," reflects the belief of the pious recorded in Maccabees. Quote, "that to God they do not die, as our patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob died not, but live to God." How did the Sadducees respond to this insult? We don't know. But some of the scribes, who are very likely Pharisees, publicly honor Jesus for winning yet another round against formidable opponents. "Teacher," they say, "you have put it well." Historically, Jesus was a master of the insult. According to the anonymous author and spinmeister we call Luke, Jesus won all arguments in his life and ministry and built an honorable reputation. But his success at insults and insult humor also contributed to his death. Americans tempted to exchange their culture's preference for civility for Jesus' Mediterranean hostility and offensiveness. Yes, even though he was nonviolent, Jesus was hostile and offensive. Should consider all the potentially lethal consequences. It is a great sadness when American Christians tell others you're not being Christlike when they use sarcasm, or when they challenge people's complacency in somewhat offensive ways. When they use the term Christlike, they don't know what they're talking about.